One, two. All right. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy Tyler. Welcome to another episode of Draw and Talk, where we talk about making comics and indie comics, and we just try to show off the growth of indie creators. And today, I have an awesome person on the channel today. His name is Nathaniel Gold, and right now he is running a Kickstarter for his book, The Chimp with the Brown Hat, Volume 1, the first banana western. It is 100% funded, and it's got 66 backers. It's got 10 days to go. So now is the time to check it out. And yeah, let's talk about that real quick. And if you have any questions for him, go on the chat and you can ask us some questions. So Nathaniel, thanks for being on the show.
Awesome, man. Tyler, thank you so much for having me. This is super cool. I don't think I've ever done a recording live before, so I'm like a little bit nervous, but I'm not.
Oh no, dude, you're good. We're good. Yeah, let me. Everyone, thanks for being on. Hey, Scott Bruckner, and what's up, Britton? Thanks for watching. And like I said, if you have any questions, please ask us in here. And oh, hold on, hey, what's up, Iris? How you doing? I love you and your family. And tell Bensi that need to play chess with him sometime. All right, so Nathaniel, tell us and give us a quick pitch. Why do we need to buy The Chimp with the Brown Hat, the very first banana western?
Sure.
For it.
All right, great. So my comic is The Chimp with the Brown Hat, and I have some visual aids. This is the first Kickstarter we did over the summer, which is issue 1. It's a mostly black and white comic, and it's about a chimpanzee in the Old West. He wakes up middle of the desert with a robotic hand and no idea of who he is, where he came from. He's traveling from town to town. He's the only chimpanzee in a world of humans. He's trying to figure out who he is, where he came from, and how he's connected to these gigantic space worms that keep showing up in the desert. And while he travels from town to town, he ends up face to face with traditional bandits of the Old West. And of course, you know, while he's trying to figure it all out, he has to save the day.
That's so freaking awesome. So how many pages are in this book?
The Kickstarter that we're doing is a trade paperback issue 1 through 4, and it's going to be roughly about 100 pages. It'll probably depending on how well the Kickstarter does, because one of the stretch goals is I'm actually going to add 10 pages of like concept art. But right now it's about 100 pages of content, and it's got a great little introduction to the book that was done by a mentor of mine, Vincent DeFate, who back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s was he's a Hall of Fame science fiction illustrator, and he was gracious enough to give me an introduction to the book. So between all of that, it's going to be about 110 pages. Yeah, we're really excited. Like you said, we're 100% funded, and now we're just trying to push it to 200% with stretch goals.
That's the thing, man. That's the thing about I've been trying to tell people on now is the perfect time to back it. You know, a lot of people on Kickstarter, they get scared because I don't know if I should put my money in this book because I don't know if I'm gonna get the book. Everyone, you know, you're gonna get the book. You know you're gonna get it, and this is the perfect. I've been trying to tell people with my own Kickstarter. Now is the time to get it. You know you're gonna get the book. So everyone, please check it out. I'm actually checking it out right now. I'm loving what I see. So probably expect in the next 2-3 days once I get paid to have me back this. This looks awesome. Do you do the art?
Yeah, I do everything. So I mean, I wrote it, drew it, inked it, lettered it. I guess that's all the steps. I don't know. Every other step in between, I did all of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, my wife helps me with the grammar, and my cousin Mike helps me with like kind of a second pair of eyes to say, hey, you know, this doesn't make sense, or try this, or try that.
Yeah, that's my wife. Before I make sure I have her read everything and make sure that it all makes sense to her. So that's awesome. And what do you draw on? Is this digital? Is it traditional? How do you?
Yeah, so I'm trained as a traditional artist, before I was doing comics, which is, by the way, like what I've wanted to do since I'm 7 years old, and I took like a long detour to get here, but I'm finally here. But I've been for almost 20 years. I've been a professional illustrator. I'm a painter, and I draw on inks, and I'm traditionally taught. But for the last 5 years, my work has been, at least my commercial work has been all done using Photoshop, using custom brushes in Photoshop. My attack, it's still in a traditional fancy Photoshop tricks or anything like that. I'm still drawing and painting, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it on the trusty. I want to say Wacom because that's like the fake, you know. But I'm too cheap. I got a Huion from China. It works almost as well.
Hey, no, dude. I'll go cheaper than you. I use a UG tablet. That if that has a 50%, it said on Amazon, there's a 50% chance it'll work.
Really? I got it when it first came out. And I mean, I could be, if you want me to be real, I'll be real. I got it when it first came out. It's 1/4 the price of the equivalent Wacom. It's not as good as a Wacom, but it's not 1/4 as bad. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. So, your Huion?
But my Huion. But what I will tell you about this Huion is that I do have to reinstall the driver like every couple of days.
Oh, that is annoying.
It's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. It's just annoying, you know. And to save like $1,500, it's kind of worth it.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, once if I have no need to do it right now, but I'd love to get the new Huion. It's the mobile one with the screen.
Oh, they made one of those?
Yeah, and it's only $400.
Oh wow, that's a good deal. It's actually funny because I had the Cintiq Companion. And which is beautiful, which was $2,000, and I had that, and I used that as my full gig, and it was great because I could take it on the train with me. I have a long commute, take it on the train with me and get work done. But it broke, and Wacom actually fixed it for free, but I didn't have it for a month, and like I was like, I don't know what to do. Like I was in the middle of a book. And so I was like, I have to do this. So I went out and I bought this one, and I'm happy with it though. I am happy with it.
You still have that Wacom though?
Yeah, I still have the Companion. But now I use that. It's much smaller. That's like a 13-inch screen, and this is a 21-inch screen. So there's no going back to the 13-inch. But what's good is I use that again for traveling. So if I do need to get a job done and I'm going to be on my commute, or if I got to go down and spend the weekend with my in-laws, but I have to get work done, you know, I can bring that with me. So that's been pretty awesome. So I have both now.
For sure. So today we're going to be talking about the power of black and white comics. The nice thing about this topic is that your Kickstarter is black and white. And I'm also currently working on a black and white comic with my friend Wes Nathanial. It's a 122-page graphic novel. He wrote it. It's awesome. So I'm just trying to draw that book right now. It's gonna take forever. But what about the black and white? What drew you in to making your book black and white? And I asked this because me, as someone who's also a writer and artist, I tend to, when I make my own comics, I love to put color in it, and for some reason I'm never satisfied with it being black and white. Why do you like black and white comics? And for the people watching, what do you guys think about black and white comics? I see we have someone saying the Walking Dead comic books, classic,
famous. Yeah, that's the one right now. The big classic, The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah. So like, what about and I think a big thing with that though is that it's also like they have someone who puts the gray shading on it, which I really like. Yeah. But what drew you to making yours black and white?
So all right, that's a great question, right? So there's a couple of things, but I just want to like preface it because I don't want to offend anybody. Like this is my personal feelings. Like I'm not saying that color comics are not cool or not nice or nothing. I just personally feel that there's like a purity to a black and white comic. Sometimes I feel that coloring can get a little distracting, and the key to all art. And so for me, with a black and white comic, the drawing really comes through more. I like to build up, for the most part, I like to build up my gray tones through series of black lines. I mean, if you go all the way back to, you know, I teach this, right? I actually teach not comics, but I teach illustration. And you know, one of the things, like one of the first things that I teach my students is like when illustrators first started, like the idea of illustrating or even of comics, it's about reproduction of art, right? So if we're reproducing the art, like we couldn't do that prior to the printing press, right? So when the printing press came and illustrators were able to reproduce their work, or public, newspapers could reproduce artwork in it from illustrators, they had to take those drawings and convert them into wood engravings, right? They'd ink the wood engravings and print it. And so the only way to create that illusion of gray, or what we call value, value scale, as an artist, you know what I'm talking about, from white to black, everything in between is gray. And to create that, you need to create the illusion of that with a series of lines, right? Which you see most common in like cross hatching, right? So that's, to me, like that's the way I've always worked. That's the way I'm most comfortable. Even before like I did this comic, like that's just what I love. But also then when I sat down to do a comic, I said, I thought about the comics that have always inspired me going back from when I was a kid. And I was thinking about those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, those original Teenage Mutant Turtles. And then from there, very quickly, I got turned on to an artist named Stan Sakai, who does an amazing comic book called Usagi Yojimbo. You're familiar.
Oh, yeah.
That's a genius. Guy is my hero. I was actually lucky enough about a year ago. I met him in Baltimore at Baltimore Comic-Con. But I still read that today. I've read that since I'm about 13 years old. I still read it today. I literally read an issue today. And that is a big inspiration for me with this comic, because for those of you who don't know, it's about a lone samurai rabbit, right? And mine's about a lone chimpanzee gunslinger, right? But the samurai films like you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Kurosawa films. I know that's not how you pronounce his name, but I'm a little tongue-tied. It's late here in the East Coast. But those films really inspired the spaghetti westerns. And the spaghetti westerns is what I'm really basing my book on. That's why I'm calling it Banana Western. So going to I know, thank you. So going back to Stan Sakai, some of his stuff has been in color, but mostly it's a black and white comic, and there's a purity. He's a fantastic draftsman, and you can really see that. And it's not, for lack of a better word or a better term, muddied up with color. So that's how I feel about black and white comics. I read plenty of comics that are in color. But I mean, I even like to I'll go out and get like one of the best comics ever. And I'm sure everyone listening to this will agree, I hope, is The Dark Knight Returns, right? It's classic. Frank Miller at his best. Now that's produced in color. When I originally read that, I read it in color, but then they came out with that noir version, which is inks, right? And there's just such an amazing beauty to that. So I had to go out and get that and read that too, even though I've already read it. Now I have 2 copies of it, but it's just, it's more stripped down.
Well, there's something like amazing about, because I have a couple of the noir editions, and you have to your art has to be so precise if it's just going to be black and white. It takes a certain level of skill that you can't hide behind the colors. There are some books where you look at and you go and you look at it, and if you were to take the color out, gosh, would that be a bland looking book? If it was like black and white, it would look terrible. But with books that are really well done, where the art is really well done, the colors are just extra. The colors are just extra. I've seen the Dark Knight Returns noir. Like, that book is beautiful without the colors. In fact, I kind of prefer it without colors. I have I have Batman Black Mirror Noir.
Yeah.
And I prefer reading this over the colored version. You really just get a look at the art. You get to see what the artists were really trying to go for. Can you capture a night scene with black and white? Can you capture those shadows? It's super raw, and it shows the skill level of the artist.
Totally. And also there's something to be said, right? So like like illustration is a communicative tool, right? We use it to communicate, and there's all these different tools that we use to create, say, mood, feelings, also just to the way your eye looks around a page, and color is part of that, right? But so the other thing too is, it's like, imagine doing a Western that takes place in 1880s Utah with, you know, the bandits and you know, all the things that come with a down and dirty Western, and then throwing in like really bright colors. Like, that's not going to work. So when you do a book in color, it's also really important, like, how you pick those colors to set, you know, the appropriate moods. Like, a book that does color fantastic is Hellboy.
Yeah, because most of that book is just like blocks of black. We're talking about like Mike Mignola's like original Hellboy that he drew, or we're just talking about the series in general. Even the series in general, though. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. Keep going though. I'm with you on this. Oh, we might have lost him. We might have lost him. Well, everyone, we might have lost Nathaniel. I do not know. But real quick, go to the links in the description for the Demons Kickstarter, and also the Chimp with the Brown Hat Kickstarter. That's Nathaniel's. It looks great. I'm going to back it next week. Let's just go into the comment section real quick. I'm going to message him real quick. Oh, we back?
I'm back. I'm sorry. Stupid internet.
Oh, no, you're good. I'm just really quick.
It started to break up, and I was like, I can't hear you, and then I was gone.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just going to read some of the comments real quick.
Yeah,
we got Brittany saying DKR is great, but I have problems with it. Controversial comic opinions. But I loved Watchmen Noir. We got Kevin Rodatelli. He's awesome. Dude, his Kickstarter had 500 backers. Over.
Wow.
So he's killing it.
Yeah.
He was on the show the last episode. So also sometimes it's better black and white than in bad colors or colors that don't match. Black and white is a style before everything. Absolutely. Peter Palmiotti says, hey, all. Hey, Peter. Hey, we got to get you on the show sometime, and I'd love to go hang out with you and Jeff Lafferty. Tank Farah, black and white works much better for noir, in my honest opinion. And then Primark Sanguinius said, what's up, mates? Thanks everyone who's watching. Everyone who's watching right now, check out the description down below. We got the Chimp with the Brown Hat Kickstarter link, so check that out. We also have the Demons Kickstarter link down below. And guess what? Both projects are freaking funded. So guess what? You know you're gonna get a book.
You're gonna get a book. I can't speak for you, but my book is completely done. I mean, I'm literally just kind of fixing some of the grammatical errors that my wife has pointed out, and I'm ready to hit print in about a week or two.
Yeah. You know? When's your same for me. You're gonna get my book before Christmas. You're gonna get
I'm definitely gonna get out the book. You know, it even says it in the description of the Kickstarter. The books will be emailed first week of December. You will get them for Christmas.
Well, frick, everyone. Like, this is just go treat yourself and go check out these books. This is the best time for indie creators. Go freaking check out the Chip with the Brown Hat. And guess what? If you're like, I don't know if I should get it, guess what? I'm next week, once I get paid, I am going to back that book because I really like it. I actually didn't, I'll be honest, when we were talking, I didn't check your Kickstarter out because I get a lot of people who are like, can I come on your show? Typically, I don't check out their Kickstarters. But I went on it and I was like, this is great. I'm loving this.
I appreciate it. Just trying to do something a little different, you know?
No, yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, real quick, we were talking about, before everything happened, we were talking about Hellboy and how they use black and white in colors, and love for you to go back on that point.
Yeah, so what we were saying was, we were talking about like how color, like if you're going to put color in a book, like it has to be the right color in it, and the color has to help communicate the story just as much as the drawings, just as much as the words. And Hellboy, I think, just does such a fantastic job because they're really like very monochromatic, which of course, I mean, if you know the story, I don't want to, you know, spoilers or nothing. Like if you don't know the story, hurry up and read it before the movie comes out in a few months. But they just, it's very noir. It's very H.P. Lovecraft, and they really like, use these monochromatic colors, you know, and very muted colors, very muted bluish grays, and then they'll hit you with a big yellowish green, and it just works really, really well. And you know, not to, you know, look, I read plenty of Marvel and DC, but Marvel and DC are going to just splash you with color, you know, and sometimes, you know, you can tell it was done on the computer and it could look a little bit fuzzy, and it distracts you from maybe the beauty of the ink. And again, I'm not disrespecting colorists, but you gotta it's not, you're not coloring with crayons, right?
No, yeah, no, for sure. I think when you color a book, every color, there should be intention. You're not, yeah, this isn't a coloring book. You're not like, oh, skin color. Oh, this is green. Like every color that you put on a page, it should match the style, and it should have a purpose.
I agree.
One of my favorite colorists is Elizabeth Breitweiser. She did the Kill or Be Killed. She did some of the Batman, and just her coloring style, it's not very highlighted. There's not a lot of highlights or like brightness. It's very just sometimes very chromatic, people say, and it's there because it's supposed to set the mood. You know, everyone's like, the sky's not purple. You go, yeah, but it's there to set the mood. Got some questions for you real quick from the chat. If you'd like to answer them.
Love to.
All right, we got Britton here. He says, would you want it says mainly for Nathaniel. I get it. You don't want to talk to me, Britton. Mainly for Nathaniel, would you want to work with the big two? And are you like Alan Moore and Garth Ennis, and who just both say F the big two?
Okay, I don't say F anybody because I'm the tiny little one. I mean, look, my dream if you would have asked me this question when I was 10 years old, of course. But, you know, my dream is to create my stories. My dream is also to make a living. I have a family. So, you know, I have friends that have worked for Marvel. You know, I would work for Marvel or DC. You know, I would do some work. But the reality is that, like, I'm just trying to tell my stories. Like, I fancy myself a storyteller among everything else. And, you know, unless Marvel was going to be like, hey, we want to take the chimp with the brown hat and you could still own it completely, and we're going to throw it into the MCU as well, you know, I just don't see that happening. But that's the long answer to your question. The short answer is I would never turn down work, but that's not kind of the dream that I have overall, especially with my book.
Yeah, I think most creators, they would agree with you. They would like, if anyone was like, would you like to tell a Batman story or work anything with the big two? I'd be like, oh yeah, freaking absolutely. Yeah. But it kind of sounds selfish, but I might use that platform to really build up my personal fan base, so then I can get them all on my creator-owned book. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, that's exactly same here.
Yeah. All right. Next question from Primarch Sanguinius. Gosh, am I saying this right? Are you guys fans of British and European comics like 2000 AD or heavy metal? I've only read a few heavy metal stuff, and I've read a couple Judge Dredd. It's freaking awesome. I personally just think I just got into comics like 6 years ago, and maybe I need to read some more Judge Dredd to really get into it. Nathaniel, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Judge Dredd is great, but heavy metal as a kid, oh boy, heavy metal was that risque comic that we weren't supposed to look at. And you know, in school, I remember in like junior high, like, you know, we were all big into comics. It was the early '90s, and you know, I remember a friend had that book, and we just passed it around. You know, like go home and you can have it for a day, and then give it to your friend. And yeah, those were great. But I haven't read them in a long time.
Next question. What would you think of a noir version of Brubaker and Phillips collaborations, as in just their black and white work? Because they already do, all their stuff is considered noir. I think if they did a black and white book, it would look great. Do you read any of Brubaker and Phillips?
No, I haven't.
Those are my favorite.
I'm gonna write it down because everything is a learning experience.
No, yeah, you know,
is you know, fodder for the next.
Yeah, no, if I was about to like stop I was going to stop like making comics altogether, like just drawing wise. And then I saw Sean Phillips's work, and I even saw a YouTube video of how he drew one of the pages. And I was like, I can do that. Um, I think, yeah, like I'm not like I'm still like learning to be like a better artist. And you know what he does is he takes like reference photos of himself for everything, and then he will even at times put that on his on like Photoshop, or I think he used Clip Studio Paint, and then he'll just he'll use his body form and make himself a little skinnier, maybe more muscular, and he uses that to draw it out. And just the way he did it made it look so realistic and so good. And I was like, maybe I can try to do that. So
yeah. That's like rotoscope animation. If you're familiar with that, it's like when you would film something and then they would film something and then paint over the film itself so that it became like an animated thing.
Oh wow, yeah. It's just, you know, I know a lot of artists will maybe crap on that, be like, oh dude, you gotta learn like the principles. But I'm someone who's like, you know, it's 2018. You know, I think we can use as much like techniques.
Yeah, I mean,
as long as it looks good.
Yeah, I'm not, as an art teacher and a lifelong artist, I'm not going to discount learning the fundamentals. You still need to learn the fundamentals, but also you're right. In 2018, you know, we should use all of the tricks. You know, it's basically work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you know, while I'm at my desk in my day job, that's when I'm watching YouTube videos and I'm trying to get all those fundamentals, and then you can bring that stuff into like your cheats. I'm going to call them cheats because that's what they are. Got another question.
Okay.
This is from Primark Sanguinis. Man, I don't know if I'm saying this right. What are you guys' favorite comic book runs, and what inspired you to get into comics? So let's first answer that question. What are you guys' favorite comic book runs? Nathaniel, you can go first.
All right, so I kind of answered that already with Yosagi Yojimbo, but so I'll answer it a little bit different. Because instead of telling you my favorite, which I've already told you, I'll tell you what I'm like super into right now, and that's Preacher. I'm way behind. I'm way late on Preacher, but I finally started reading about halfway through. It's 6 books. I've read 3 books. I'm like deep into Preacher right now.
Boom! There's your Garth Ennis right there. Right now, what I'm reading. What am I reading? I'm always caught up with Batman. I love Batman. I am just looking at. I'm reading Kill or Be Killed by Edward Bach and Sean Phillips. I need to get the last 2 volumes. And I'm also catching up on Criminal by them as well. And then I just finished the Black Widow series by Mark. I think it was Mark Waid and Chris Samney. I know Chris Samney was the artist, so that was great. And then the second part of that question, Nathaniel, what inspired you to get into comics?
Okay, so what really started the whole thing for me was a comic strip named Garfield. Okay, I'm going way back. I'm going to 2nd grade, but my friend had a copy of a Garfield book, and he let me borrow it for the night. And when I drew a picture of Garfield by looking at it, that's the moment where I said, "This is what I want to do for the rest of my life." Wow. So it started with that. I quickly moved into Calvin and Hobbes, and then I moved into Peanuts, and I was going to do comic strips forever. And then I went to art school, and they just ripped the soul out of my body. And then that's the long road to get back into comics. And that's when, now, I'm almost 40, and I've matured as an artist and a storyteller. And that's why I've moved into more like long form comics opposed to comic strips. Plus the stories that I'm telling make more sense there. But that's what did it for me. It was just the love of being a child and never wanting to stop drawing.
No, that's awesome. I guess for me, I just thought my friend showed me manga, and I was like, whoa. And I read it, and I was like, this is like, it's like not as much work to make a movie, and it's not as much work to write a novel because you can write less.
Right.
And I thought this was just I thought it was an amazing freaking like way to do stuff. So I started doing manga, and I actually didn't read. I picked up my first comic at 20, and I was like, this is the greatest thing in the whole world.
It really is.
Yeah, and
real life fiction.
Yeah, I'd already been drawing my own like manga comics. I still read from left and right, and I wrote like a 500. I wrote and drew a 500-page one when I was in middle school. I still have it, somewhere actually. Now I'm very worried. Once this is done, I'm gonna go find it. It should be in a closet. But yeah, that's what really just made me want. And just it was like, this is such a cool medium, and I felt like anyone could do it. Next question. This is for you, Nathaniel. What would you consider yourself? A comic book artist, a comic book writer, or a graphic novelist?
That's a good question. Never thought of it that way. I just kind of think of myself as a storyteller. I mean, I'm trained as an illustrator. I started writing so that I had something to illustrate that wasn't given to me but created. So, what was the question? Writer, artist, or graphic novelist?
Yeah, but I kind of like storyteller. That's what
I have to answer it that way, I'm storyteller, which again is what I love so much about the comics, because it's really just that perfect blend of not just words in the sense that there's words to be read, but it's also the way the words are presented on the page. So it's a beautiful mixture of drawings, words, and how it's all presented.
Yeah, no, I'm picking up right now. It's freaking. It was this comic, everyone, Detective Comics with Francis Manipul and Brian Buccellato. But on their first issue of their run, when I gave them the credits, it said storytelling by both of them. It didn't say writer or artist. They just said they're storytellers. And I really liked that. We got a question from Primarch Sanguinis. Real quick before we answer that question, we want to once again thank everyone for watching, and to also check out the links below of the Kickstarters that are happening, because they're freaking amazing, and you're 100% going to get it before Christmas. So here is the question. Hey, this is an odd question. What do you guys think is the biggest mistake that people make when learning how to draw? I will now turn this over to the art teacher.
Okay, that is a great question. So where people go wrong when they're trying to draw is that they don't realize that it's not a talent, it's a skill. It's a skill like any other skill. It just takes a lot of hard work. People sit down to draw and they're like, that drawing is ugly, I can't draw, and then they give up. If you want to draw, if you want to learn how to draw, my first question to you is, let me see your sketchbook. My next question to you is, why don't you have a sketchbook? My third question to you is, how long is it going to take you to turn around, walk to the store, and buy yourself a damn sketchbook? I keep sketchbooks. I draw on them almost every day. That's what you got to do. It's about observation. I read a book when I was young, and it was like ridiculous to me. And then I read it again when I was a little bit older, and it was genius to me. And in the book, in the introduction to the book, it said, before you can draw a tree, you have to spend a year observing the tree. Now, that's ridiculous. But if you really think about what that line is saying, is that, drawing is observation, right? Now, if you're going to draw a comic, maybe you're going to draw some sort of alien. Like in my book, I'm drawing space worms right now. I've never seen a space worm in real life, so I'm not observing it. But the point is that I've spent so many years observing the way the world works and reinterpreting that with my pencil and my paper. And that is what you need to realize. Like as a kid, I grew up looking at Todd McFarlane, and I was like, Todd McFarlane can draw Spider-Man, so I'm going to draw Spider-Man until I'm as good as Todd McFarlane. But what Todd McFarlane did before he drew Spider-Man, maybe he won't admit it because, whatever. But I guarantee he spent a lot of time drawing in sketchbooks and learning how the figure works and understanding the anatomy.
Well, Greg Capullo's, someone asked, how did you learn how to draw? He goes, I have probably 2 or 3 sketchbooks dedicated to how to draw hands.
Yes.
I have 2 or 3 sketchbooks dedicated to drawing feet. I have 2 or 3 sketchbooks how to draw an eye. And he goes, I filled every single one of those sketchbooks until I could hopefully maybe draw a person. And then once I could do all that, I then spent 2 or 3 sketchbooks drawing people just standing. And then I spent 2 or 3 sketchbooks going out in public and seeing how people interact. Yeah. And then I spent another 2 or 3, and then it just built on itself. And it's funny you say that because I only just got a sketchbook a month ago. I've never had a sketchbook, and I was like, I just can't do it. And oh my gosh, I can already see the difference in just learning, you know, because a lot of people when they want to draw, they look at like they see Spider-Man and they just try to copy from what they see. And you know, that's how I learned when I was a kid. And then you slowly figure out process of elimination. But me having the sketchbook, I've really learned how to break down the shapes of people, and you learn the anatomy. And everyone, I want you guys to get a sketchbook. But this topic, your answer has kind of sparked some disagreements in the chat.
Okay.
Bring it. Defend yourself.
Can I just say one more thing before you read these other questions?
Go for it.
Or comments. Think of drawing as like bodybuilding. You want to get big, right? You're not going to go to the gym and bench press 500 pounds day one, right? It's something you're going to work at every single day and slowly get better and better and better. That's okay, true. Now bring the conversation.
That's true. And by the way, everyone, look at Greg. Just like I use Greg Capullo as an example because it's what
he's one of the best.
He's one of the best.
One of the best ever.
Look how old some of these people were though when they finally broke into comics. It's because it took them that long to get the skill that they needed. So this is from Britton, and he says, "I disagree with you. It's a talent and a skill, like writing." So this is why I'll say I think people, yes, you might have some natural talent in you're able to do a little better than other people. The same thing though is that you can still teach yourself. You know, start if you're like, I can't draw faces. Well, did you do the circle? Did you put the line? And did you work your way? The more you do it, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, all right, so here's I'm not going to necessarily disagree. What was it, Britton? Who said that? Britton. So Britton, I'm not going to like disagree with you. Like we can agree to disagree or whatever. That's a conversation I've had before. Talent versus skill. I like what you said, that it's a talent and a skill. So you're not discounting the fact that there is also hard work. I can speak for myself. When I was 7 years old and I first drew, like I was not able to draw as good as I am now. And that's because I've been drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing. Now I know for a fact as an art teacher that I can sit down with anyone over time and teach them how to draw. Now, that doesn't mean I can teach them how to be creative or I can teach them how to, you know, come up with great ideas. I can literally teach them how to do the physical act of drawing, and that's the part that's the skill. I think that for me the talent comes with is more of maybe everything else. But I'm not claiming to be an expert by any means.
Yeah.
But that's just my personal feeling about it. And from someone who's worked really hard their whole life to get to where I am now and wants to get much better than I am, you know, I like when people go to say to me, "Oh, you're so talented." Like I know they're being nice, they're complimenting me, but in my mind I'm like, no, I'm not. It's not talent. I wasn't born with this. I worked my butt off to get here, you know. So that's just like my own personal thing. But I totally understand what you're saying, and I'm not completely disagreeing by any means.
For sure. We have Primark Sanquist. He says, spicy question, but do you guys think that an important part of being a creator is being able to deal with constructive criticism without taking it personally and lashing out at people? Real quick, I hope you didn't think that we were lashing out at people or taking it personally. We're just having a nice discussion. And yeah, so sorry, Primark, if we felt that we were getting heated. I don't think we were.
No, I think we're excited. I'm talking about art. I love it. I get excited.
Another thing with Primark, is it weird that I'm a fan of comic books that isn't really interested in superheroes? No, it isn't, because I think the majority of the comic books that I personally read are not superheroes, and from the sounds of it, looks like Nathaniel is the same with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love me some Batman. I love me some Daredevil. I love me some Incredible Hulk. But yeah, I think what's happening right now in comics, like it's just there's just so many great stories that can be told that aren't, you know, superheroes. There's just so much of it. It's really great right now.
Oh, for sure. And you know what's crazy is I know of two books that don't have any superheroes, and their books are in the link in the description. So
nice, I like that.
No, I try.
Scroll down and click.
Try. But yeah, no, thanks for the question, Britton. And Britton is awesome. I've talked with him a bunch. I talk with him a bunch every single week. He's learning. He says, I'm still learning how to write, even though I've been doing this for a long time. And you know what's awesome is Brandon is actually with a friend, Justin Ori. They're starting a comic book miniseries, and it's their first one together. It's Justin's first comic book series as an artist. It's Justin's first as a writer. I mean, it's Brandon's first as a writer. I'm super pumped to see what those guys do. This is from Peter Palmiotti. Nathaniel, do you see yourself continuing as an art teacher, or will you do comics full time ever?
I want to do both full time.
Yeah.
The wonderful thing about teaching is at the college level is that it gives you a lot of free time to pursue the things that you're teaching, right? So I really, in a perfect world, I'm teaching and I'm doing my own books, and I don't have to take any other kind of commissions and odd jobs to pay the bills. So that's where I see my future. And you know, look. If you guys click over to my Kickstarter now, you'll see I have 66 backers. I mean, compared to others that I've seen that have 500, that's nothing. But it's, you know what? It's a beginning. It's a beginning, and Kickstarter gives us that as creators. It's the beginning of me starting to create a community around my book of people, like-minded people who like my book. And I feel like if I do this enough and I build enough work at a certain level, you know, then maybe one day I will be doing that. Maybe one day I'll get 1,000 backers and thousands of dollars, and I could just work on just my books and then teach, pass it forward.
And I think one of my dreams is I'd love to teach like a comic book class. That'd be so awesome, just to have people think, oh, you know, this guy's the man. He really knows. Actually, you know what's funny is when I started this channel, that's what it was. Is I wanted people to think I was the man and I knew everything.
You're the man.
Until I had someone email me to go, what do you think about webcomics? And I was like, I have no idea anything about webcomics. So I brought in a guest, my friend Alethea, and she talked about webcomics. And someone asked me another question. And I was like, yeah, I don't know anything about that as well. So I brought in another guest. And now I think it's great for me to just bring in guests and we can talk about, you know, because I don't have all the perspectives. And, you know, that's what other people have that I don't. Let's get into the chat. Tank Ferret, comics seem to be the only professional art field where having thick skin isn't a prerequisite. Yeah, I think if you're going to go into comics, you need to have thick skin, because I think it's easily, if someone's message you saying, I hate you, it's kind of easy to like be like, well, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you put yourself out there, you're going to get your critics. You got to take everything with a grain of salt. But one thing, and someone mentioned this earlier, and one thing is like being able to take criticism on your art is the most important thing, I think, because like I was mentioning in the beginning, my cousin Michael, who isn't an artist, he's just a lover of the genre and a lover of comics, and having him look at my stuff and be like, look, this isn't working. This would be better. And you know what? Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like the first time I read his comments, I'm like, what? I'm like, that was perfect. And then I take a deep breath and I'm like, you know what? That's going to make it better. And at the end of the day, you want to make it the best book you can. I worked on a children's book earlier in the year. I did a full 32-page children's book. And the person who hired me for that book kept coming back with comment after comment after comment and change. And at first I was like, argh! But then I'm like, you know what? Calm down, take the ego out of it. Is this going to make it better? And it does, and you learn from that. And then each time it's better and better and better and better. So you sort of have to check your ego by the door. I mean, look, if you finish the product and you're proud of it, and you put it out there and somebody tells you it's crap, well, that's their opinion, you know. Like, a human being is going to get upset about that. But I think if you let yourself get too absorbed with that kind of stuff, you'll go crazy.
For sure. Real quick, guys, we're probably gonna end this stream in 10 minutes. So if you have a question, please put it on. Please put it up right now, because yeah, we're gonna end this in 10 minutes. But I want to get to the other questions, or the other comments. This is from Primark again. It's all good. This is another odd question, but do you guys think that the success of a story often has more to do with the villain rather than the hero? Most heroes are interchangeable to me. That's actually a really good question, because I think what makes Batman a good story sometimes is the villain.
Yeah, that is a good question. I think it's the yin and the yang, right? Like you can't have a great it's like sour isn't sour without sweet, and sweet isn't sweet without sour, right? So if I think having a great villain is super important to telling a great story. But I also think that you kind of need that protagonist as well. Though then you could have the anti-hero, right? So I don't know. That's a great question. That's really food for thought. I think it goes story by story. I think, I can't think off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's some stories where the villain is what makes it, and there's others where it's the protagonist, and maybe others where it's both. That's really
yeah. I think what you said, though, the yin and the yang, you can't have just like some random villain and a random hero go at it. There should be some sort of bridge that brings them together. There's got to be a reason. I mean, for Batman, he's about structure. Joker's about madness. Batman's about free choice. Two-Face is about there's only two choices. Everything. So you've got to have some kind of relationship. And I only bring up Batman so much because that's basically my bookshelf on the left.
That's the best ever.
Yeah. We got hold on real quick. Yeah. We have a Peter Palmiotti, good conversation interview. Thanks so much for checking it out, dude. I really appreciate it. Tank Ferret, if when you start your IP, hit me up on Twitter and let's get you on the show because I think that'd be freaking awesome. Yeah, so we're going to conclude this, like I said, in the next 5 minutes. If you have any questions, now is the time. But Nathaniel, what is maybe one piece of advice that you could give a creator who's making their first comic for the first time? What is something that you can leave with them?
Okay, this might sound crazy, but just do it. That's my advice. Just do it. And take it from me, who's wanted to make comics since he's 7 years old and got so distracted and went in 50 different directions. And then I finally, in August, I finally just said, I'm going to do it. And I did it. And I got a little bit of success. And now I'm doing it again. And I'm going to keep on doing it. Instead of thinking about doing it, just do it. That's my advice.
Boom. I freaking love that advice. I'm gonna add to that real quick because that is I've been trying to preach that to everyone here. Don't spend, I know someone in my community here. They are still working on their comic. They're still writing the first 13 issues because it's their baby. It's got to be perfect. And I've tried to tell them, listen, just make that comic. You're gonna improve. Yeah. You're not gonna get it perfect the first time. And then, you know what? Once you've done putting that series out or that book out, improve on the next one and improve on the next one. You can only get better if you finish.
I had somebody who I respect give me great advice once. And they said the best piece of art that you're going to make is the one you're going to make tomorrow. So don't wait for tomorrow because tomorrow will be tomorrow, and you'll never put it out there.
Absolutely. That's a great way to end this. Thank you, everyone who is watching. Thanks to everyone who will watch this later.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks to everybody who was watching, and the questions were awesome. Thank you.
Oh no, dude, we're totally gonna have to have you on the show again. I love having people who can like actually talk, give a good conversation. So thank you so much, everyone. Go to the link down below. Check out those links. Check out the Chimp with the Brown Hat Volume 1 on Kickstarter. It is already funded. You are going to get that book before Christmas, regardless. So check that out. Everyone, check out my Kickstarter for Demons. It's also 100% funded. You're going to get that book before Christmas as well. So this is the perfect time to support indie creators, especially ones who, you're going to get the book in 2 months. I personally, as a creator, I try to tell people don't put a book out until you finished it, and this is the perfect time. So thank you so much, Peter Palmiotti. Thank you so much for sharing the Kickstarters on your social media pages.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
I just wanted to say one other thing too. The best reason why I don't know about you, but the best reason to back right now, even though it's funded, is because you're going to get extra stuff because we're close to stretch goals. So not only are you going to get your whatever you pledge for, the book or higher, but you're going to get additional materials for free.
Yeah, now is the free.
Now's the time.
Yeah, now is the free stuff. Exactly.
You're a hero because everyone gets free stuff if you donate.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button, like and comment this. Even if you don't want to subscribe, just hit the thumbs up button. It really means a lot to me. As you guys know, if you watched episode 50, if you haven't watched episode 50, watch it. But it's my plan to become pro. And, this is the first steps, is doing these Kickstarters, but also, getting more awesome creators to talk with. And I hope you guys learn about making comics every single time we do this. So everyone, peace out. Oh, wait, don't peace out yet. Go down below into the link and you can find our social media. You can find him at Nathanial at @ngoldart on Instagram and Twitter. And I put that link down below. Everyone, you guys have a freaking good day. Thanks, Nathanial, for being on.
Thank you so much.